is that I am in a severely screwed up situation. The conditions that I am forced to live in are inhumane and make it easy to be predatory against me. And the longer it takes for people to do something about it, the more likely it is that something harmful is going to happen. With Christine Bouhit, there's a lot of people wanted to be horrible to me and pretend like I killed her because I was able to predict her death ahead of time. How she would die and everything. I didn't know it was going to be fentanyl. I figured it would probably be heroin. But that's because I have a quite astute mind, and I have first-hand experience with a lot of these folks. Your throwaways. Not all of them are drug addicts. Some of them are out there homeless. You're probably not going to understand this. They're homeless because they're workaholics. All they do is go to work. When they get home, their family wants to talk about their family and talk about their day, and they want to do family stuff. And well, Dad doesn't want to do family stuff. He wants to just talk about work. And he wants to try to get the whole family involved in work. And yeah, you get a lot of people like that. Women too, workaholics. And then they hate everybody because they're fucking mean when they're not at work. And a lot of them, then they end up taking it to work. Now, thank goodness not all women are like that. But we're taught, we teach both boys and girls that when they have a problem, even if it's a little one, boys are supposed to help. That's not how we teach them when it's the other way around. And we keep getting this stuff shoved at us. Teach your boys it's never okay to hit a girl. Well, you know what? We already teach our boys that. Well, we tell them that, but then we show them different. We also teach girls that it's okay to hit a boy. She gets to hit him once for free. How about teach your girls it's not okay to hit anybody? Also, self-defense is always okay. If they make it illegal by law, well, then the people who are making that illegal for you to defend yourself are predators. And if we've got predators who are doing that kind of stuff, they're trying to create a situation where a victim is easier to victimize. If predators are allowed to threaten, harass, and intimidate witnesses, friends, and family of a victim, that's not okay. Now, of course, it's okay to do that to me. It's okay to do that to my friends. It's okay to do that to my family. Wait a second, isn't it supposed to be illegal? Well, no, now magically, because it's me that it's being done to. Oh, it's not illegal, it's not illegal, it's not illegal. Really, if it's not illegal, watch what happens if I do it. What happens if I just threaten to do it? Sure enough, I was lied to. And I proved that I was lied to. If it's illegal for me, it's illegal for you. But we don't follow the law, we follow bias. The courts don't want to be targeted by a feminist group because we will bow down and give the feminist group what they want. We can't have a judge who stands up to BLM or stands up to any of these biased and racist groups, because if they do, they will get targeted. And everybody targets the homeless. Judges, lawyers, police officers, black people, white people, Jewish people, Christian people, Muslim people. All right, I'm going to retract that Muslim people thing. I'm going to tell you why, and it's not because no Muslim has ever harmed or victimized a homeless person, but I got to tell you, other than when I was in prison, there were several guards there who were Muslim. These are not the Muslims that I grew up with. The Muslims that I grew up with were very loving people. Yes, in the system, there are Muslims. That's where we send minorities. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but minorities are not only a minority group in the United States, but they're a much hated minority group. And that is horrible. Because the entire time I was homeless, I can't think of a single Muslim who ever harmed me, or even said an unkind word to me. So I'm slightly confused by that. But of course, you get people who are predatory, who seek positions of power where they can get away with being predatory, or they can make it your word versus theirs. Repeatedly, I was locked up because somebody who I was trying to turn in, and have evidence that I was trying to turn them in, plus the evidence that I was trying to turn them in with. But I didn't have anyone there in person. That is the number one thing right there. People say don't live in the past. No, we absolutely need to focus on why this happened to begin with. Why were the laws not followed? Why were the protocols not followed? Why are the rules different for George Floyd and for Zaid Atkinson and for Sammy Leon Lawrence IV than they are for me? Why are the rules and the laws different for Waylon Lolatai than they are for me? Why are they different for Clearview than they are for me? Why are they different for Polly Olson than they are for me? Meanwhile, you get to see Polly Olson did those things to other people after she did those things to me. You get to see that Michelle Quinn, one of the people that I speak out about in my videos often, I like the lady as far as she's treated me in my lifetime. However, when it came to what her and her deputies did and allowed because of my predators in Dual County, that's not acceptable. You guys pretend like I'm a violent criminal. She beat the fuck out of her girlfriend. You guys pretend like if somebody who is LGBT commits a crime, we should pretend it didn't happen. Or if a black person commits a crime, we should pretend it didn't happen. If a woman commits a crime, we should pretend it didn't happen. That's not equality, and that's not helping anybody. The only people that is truly hurting is every one of us. But the people it's hurting the most are the homeless. Because that is your go-to. Those are the only people in the country with no protections. They are judged purely on bias. There is no law. None. When it comes to the homeless, here's how they are treated. A whole channel full of it. You want to be angry at me for being frustrated and angry? Why am I frustrated and angry? Did I go to you for help because my predators claimed I didn't try to get help? They tried claiming that I was stalking them and all sorts of other crazy shit. I was never allowed to show up to my court dates. I was never allowed to face my accusers. I was never allowed to call witnesses. I was denied the legal shit that I was supposed to be allowed access to. And of course, without you guys coming forward, you guys had the opportunity before Natalie was killed to help. You had the opportunity after Natalie was killed to come forward and tell the truth about the fact that I had reached out to you for help. You not making the time is not my fault. Me being repeatedly victimized because you didn't tell the truth is, again, not my fault. At least I told the truth. Well, all of these people want to hide it. You know what? If they'd have come forward on their own, I wouldn't have to post it on YouTube and Facebook. With this lady who's saying that she's going to help me, she needs to understand that I need help getting a lot of the things that I would not have had to go through all this, okay? I wouldn't have had these things stolen. Wouldn't have had these things lost. Wouldn't have had to jump through hoops and literally break the law to protect fucking kids. I wouldn't have had to stay with drug addicts. I wouldn't have had to stay with meth heads who were digging through their own feces for a bag of meth that they were overdosing on. I wouldn't have had to stay with alcoholics that I didn't know from Adam. I wouldn't have had to move repeatedly to flee abuse. I wouldn't have had to go to court date after court date after court date after court date after court date with nothing done. I wouldn't have had to go to the internet to begin with about this. I am easy to victimize. People say, hey, Sean, you should complain less and do more. You know what? I'm called mentally ill when I'm coming to you because I'm going to get blown off if you don't fucking help. If I'm being harmed, people are going to continue to harm me if you don't fucking help. I get it. You ain't seen family in forever. You want to go out drinking with your cousins this weekend, or you want to, I guess, go to church with your family because or you want to go do all this other stuff. I can get why. But, you know, in 6 years, you literally can't make the time in 6 years. You're fucking killing me, Smalls. And every single day that it takes to try to get her to even call and listen. Just call and listen. It's the lady who was, well, yesterday and the day before and the day before that, I waited for the call. I messaged her. I let her know it was up. She texted me back she wasn't ignoring me and that she would respond. And when? In a week? In a month? In a year? When? Now, it was a pretty rapid response comparatively. But her answers indicate she hadn't looked at it or read any of it or listened to it yet. And then when she says that she does, I'm going to be expected to just assume that she did. And I'll have to hope that she did. Hundreds of people that tell me, hey, Sean, what they're doing to you is wrong. What they're doing is wrong. Well, are you speaking up? Are you sharing? Or are you just telling me? Because if you're just telling me, then that's a manipulation tactic to do nothing. What you're doing is wasting my time and pretending to care. You're not willing to try any of the things that it takes to actually do something to stop the abuse. Now, with this lady who's not calling to listen to what I'm going through, you know, it would be really, really, really nice if she would call and listen to me before she goes through a whole slew of telling me what to do again and getting angry. I don't need smoke blown up my ass. But if you're going to tell me how you see it based on not looking at any evidence, well, then I'm going to fucking rip your ass for doing it. I'm going to rip your ass for not looking at evidence, for being a judgmental fuckhead, for using that as an excuse. And then you don't want to be judged. See, that's where a lot of people go wrong. They judge me, and then they tell me that it's wrong for me to judge them back. It's okay for people to threaten my life, isn't it? And I get told that's not against the law. Well, if I threaten people's lives back, it certainly turned out that it was, didn't it? But none of you cared about any of the threats against my life, and none of you helped me to turn them in. Now I have, of course, recent threats and recent harassment, and I've got old threats and old harassment. And when it comes to turning that stuff in, a lot of people are surprised by the fact that the first set that I send them is the stuff that I was trying to get help from at the very beginning. This is what was going on when you blew me off the first dozen times. When you said you were my friend and you said you'd make the time, and then you ended up telling me about everything that you got going on. Well, you know what? The cops just outright claimed that I didn't try to get help. I did try to get help. I get that you don't want all of your personal business out there, but that requires you to tell your personal business in court to the police. It requires you coming forward with me to talk to a lawyer. If you have to do that from another state, no, that's the thing, is that you can turn it in from any state. There are a lot of things that have happened here, and we get the runaround, and I've already gone through the runaround. Rather than, well, I'm glad that she's looking it up for herself, but she's also, due to the fact that she doesn't know shit about what's going on, doesn't have any fucking clue, what is she looking up? She has no clue what's going on. What is she looking up? Does she even know what we're trying to turn in? And I'm trying to explain to her, hey, could we communicate in an effective way? If you can't make the time to call in 6 fucking years, and then you say that you're going to call, and you don't, I wasted all of yesterday and all of the day before. I'm waiting on her. And that's the thing, is that today I was going to go into Starbucks and sit down this morning and try to do something about getting somebody other than her. But I figured I'd come over here to McDonald's and sit down for a few minutes, and I was going to vent this morning, and I was going to explain how, you know, I wasted several days. I thought the agreement was that she was going to call, but she didn't. She didn't call. And of course, I have to be worried that if she does call or does get a hold of me and I'm stuck in somewhere like Starbucks and my computer let's say I just get to the Starbucks and I just turned on my computer and she decides to call. I got to take my stuff with me. But I also got to wait for 45 minutes for it to completely turn on. And then I got to wait another 45 minutes after I try to turn it down, potentially. So we're looking at an hour and a half. We're talking about an hour and a half just starting it up and shutting it down. So I got to wait out in my vehicle and not go into the Starbucks and not sit down and get started on those things when you say that you're going to call. The subject matter is not appropriate for Starbucks. And I'm going to follow the lawyer's instructions and record everything. That's one of the things about her listening to the story and looking at the evidence. If she listens to the story and looks at the evidence, she'll know what to look up. But she hasn't done that. What is she going to look up? She's going to look up some fucking numbers to give me is what she's going to do. It's good intentioned, but it's just another example of someone not following through and someone not listening to understand. Now, the last message that she sent me was, of course, very nice. And she told me the things that you're supposed to say to somebody so that they don't feel their emotions are invalidated, which shows that she's got some training. So now it's a matter of not scaring the victim away. Not scaring the victim away through complacency or by making quick judgments based on knowing nothing about the situation. Or near nothing. See this right here, it shows why it is that at-risk adults are so at risk. Even trying to get help is impossible. It's impossible to get heard by our friends and family. We're the black sheep in every family if you're autistic. If you're autistic, chances are pretty good that you have difficulties with lying. There's a chance that if you're autistic that you do lie out of necessity. You've learned from the normal people, the neurotypicals, that what you're supposed to do is say one thing and do another. But that allows those neurotypicals to have an easy out no matter what. They treat you like it's... Well, they treat you like with your problems, when you're acting in a way that they've never even seen you act before. Ever. If they've ever heard you raise your voice, it was in defense of someone who is being victimized. Most of these people never even heard me curse before all this. Imagine that. Why did my behaviors change so drastically? Was it just because of the abuse? No, it was because people just didn't have time to care. They didn't have time to care. If you care, you listen. If you care, you don't make excuses for years. Right away means right away. If you don't turn these crimes in right away, then those criminals get away with doing it again and again and again and again and again. And no matter how many times I say that to you, you just don't hear it. You not taking the time to be a friend, but leading me on that you are, puts me at risk every single day that I'm out here. In order to receive your call, I have to be able to do it in quasi-private. That means I can't go to the library to do it. Also, anything that I could potentially do at the library or elsewhere, I'm not able to do because I'm waiting on you. Now, if you give me a time that we're going to do it, I don't know when she goes to work or when she doesn't. She wants to call me on her way to work tomorrow. She was going to call a couple of days ago. So she tells me today, well, what you're telling me is that you feel more comfortable with calling. Yes, that's what I've said since day one. I got tired of typing that at people, and I just started stating it on Facebook. That's the thing, is that it's not that I never went to anybody. It's I got tired of being blown off, and I needed help. I didn't need to be blown off. I didn't need to hear about everybody else's family problems and be told that that was help. I tried to help you, Sean. No, you told me about your kid getting sick. Or you told me about your ex-husband beating you 20 fucking years ago. When's the last time you saw him? 20 years ago. When he got arrested for fucking beating you up. We're not the same. You had help turning him in, but you, instead of helping me turn him in, are you gonna help me turn him in? Or are you gonna talk about your experiences from 20 years ago instead? She says that she understands my frustration and that she'll listen to my messages. And I hope she does, but I doubt it. I hope I'm not getting the, it's nice, that's nice, dear, treatment. You know, you get home and your mom's in there in the kitchen and, you know, this is in the movies, of course. In real life, you weren't gonna likely catch my mom in the kitchen. That was either my job or Eric's job or Scott's job. That's right, it was the 3 adult males in the house. Well, we weren't adults. Me and Eric were not adults when we lived with Mom. We both moved out of Mom's house before we were adults. And for good reason. I still tell the good things that people did for me. Even if they screwed up major. I also tell you how they screwed up, and people don't like that. They don't want to hear that. When something that they did wrong results in people getting harmed or killed, results in the dehumanization of the victim, that's what happens when you say nothing and do nothing. When it was before Natalie's death, I needed somebody to go in with me to help me turn in the crimes and do the paperwork. And I get that that's a lot. But it didn't need to even get that far. There are people called arbiters that are through the courts because of my disabilities and because of the nature of the situation and the abuse, the frequency with which the abuse was happening, and the fact that I didn't have anyone to help me with those things. An arbiter could have gotten involved, could have called up me and Natalie Bollinger on the phone and allowed each of us the time to speak. Allowed each of us to do it in a safe environment where we were not being predated upon by her parents, her family, her friends, or potentially my friends and family. When I went to Joanna Taylor Smith for help before Natalie was killed, when I went to her for help about the abuse, and Joanna Taylor Smith was making me feel like killing myself in such a horrible way, she wouldn't shut up about her pretty white girl shit. She wouldn't shut up about giving me pretty memes, and you just have to love yourself. And the cosmic universe, blah, 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 blah. Holy shit. But what did Joanna Taylor Smith do? When I let her know that I just wanted my life to end, I mean, I was sick of being abused, but I was even more sick of being treated like that by the people that I went to for help about the abuse. I mean, Joanna Taylor Smith is a woman who has done many of the things that I've never done that you guys accuse me of. I've never been a drug dealer. I have never sold so much as an Advil my entire life. Not even an Advil. Not an Advil, not a Tylenol. I never sold a 3-finger bag, a dime bag, a nickel bag. Never sold a teener or a twomp. Never sold a balloon. Yeah, I know what those things are. I ain't stupid. I grew up in the fucking system, asswipe. Then I was thrown out on the streets. Yeah, about a little bit. And it seems to me you can't live in the United States today without being educated in methamphetamines. They're everywhere. They're in your houses, whether you're rich or poor. They're in your neighborhoods, whether you're rich or poor, black or white. Man or woman, it affects you all. It affects your families. It affects your friendships. You don't even have to use for heroin to destroy your life. Somebody else using heroin and deciding to slander you after doing fucked up shit can still destroy your life. When you're a homeless person, the cops will do everything that they can, including committing felonies, to help people that whine about you because they don't want to fucking see you. And I see it every day. If the public wants you gone, they'll get rid of you. If the homeless are legit afraid of you because you harm the homeless, the police will help them to get away with it. That is nationwide. The same bias that has these police committing crimes after Natalie's death and before over slander is the same bias that people use to, when they tell me they do care about me, but they're busy. They're busy. They don't have the time to listen. They're busy. Well, while you're being busy, my loved ones are ending up fucking dead. While you're busy, I'm out here wasting resources that I don't fucking have for days and days because you're gonna. You don't want me to post up your name or any of the involvement anymore. And in exchange, you'll actually help, but you're not actually helping. So what's the point here? Meanwhile, on the bright side, you were smart enough not to ask me to take down evidence or destroy it. Yes, I had to do desperate things to try to get help and to try to get attention, but not for attention's sake. You having things that you got to get done, that is sort of a valid excuse for a very small period of time. If you care about somebody, you want to maintain the relationship. You think about that person. You want to hear their voice. You want to know that they're doing well. And if they're not, you want to know why. You want to know what you can do to help. But actually want to know what you can do to help instead of arguing with them and making excuses and cutting them off and telling them about all your own personal problems. If your personal problems aren't so horrible that you're calling me for help with it, I called you because I needed help. That's how horrible my problems actually are. I actually need help with them. If you're telling me about your personal problems as a cop-out, and that's what it becomes. If you actually care about somebody, you'll make the time to at least find out what they're going through. If you're going to say, well, I'm going to find out what you're going through by this, and this, well, why don't you ask the victim? Why don't you ask the victim? The person who has come to you for help is coming to you for help for a reason. Why don't you find out what that reason is before volunteering that you can't do anything, especially when you said that you'll do what you can to help? They just need to let you know. When they let you know, how do you treat them? I let people know the legal route. That's the route that I was willing to take. The legal route. Now, the legal route requires me to let these people know before doing anything. Did you know that? Like, let's say there's a restaurant owner who wants to come out and have you trespassed. They have to ask you to leave before trespassing you. And that's in most states. See, because trespassing someone denotes that they have done something criminal and are being removed from the premises. Now, you can refuse service to anyone. However, what you have done by not following the law and telling them to leave first, or asking them to leave, if you want to be nice about it, asking them is a polite suggestion, though, and asking them to leave is not the same as telling them to leave. And if you simply ask them to leave, they are not required to leave because, well, you asked them to. You didn't tell them that they are no longer welcome there. Asking denotes that you're giving them an option. When you're letting them know outright that they are not welcome, and they still stick around, that is when you are allowed to call the police about it. Because before that, they're not committing a crime. They're not committing a crime by existing. There's also police officers who will try to enforce laws that don't actually exist. Like those officers in Cheyenne, Wyoming who wanted to harass me at the Starbucks there. They didn't have a legal right or reason to be there. Nobody called in to complain that I was doing anything illegal or committing any crimes. And I did have permission from the place where I was at. They were aware of the situation. I didn't hide it from the people there. When my vehicle was broken down at the Starbucks, I needed gas. When I was able to get gas, I was able to move my vehicle. When I was able to move my vehicle, I did. I wasn't there trying to break into the Starbucks. I wasn't there trying to fence the place. I wasn't there raping some imaginary person in the parking lot. I wasn't lighting the place on fire. I wasn't hooting and hollering and shouting and breaking the windows. And nobody had called me in. They want to run you off because nobody likes homeless people. You all hate the homeless people. And if you don't hate them, you don't care enough about them to do anything about the abuse that they take, because people hate them. And all of you know about the hatred towards the homeless. Every single one of you know there is more hatred towards the homeless than there is towards Jews, black folks, Native Americans combined. There are more hate crimes committed against the homeless than all other hate crimes combined in the United States, times 5. Holy shit. That's a lot. That is a whole lot. But here's the real kicker there. All others, that includes pedophiles. That's right. Pedophiles are protected by law. If a pedophile decides that he's going to come over and mess with your kid, and you beat the shit out of him, and you say it's because he was messing with my kid, well, he can say, hey, I didn't know the kid was there. This guy was targeting me, started screaming all sorts of stuff at me about being a chimo and swinging. Now, of course, without video evidence, whose side are you going to take? You're probably going to assume that the child molester is in the wrong, aren't you? But under color of law, they can simply manipulate it and twist it because a hate crime supersedes you protecting your kids. How fucked up is that? They say, oh, he's only pretending. That kid wasn't there to begin with. But we've also got those guys who actually target folks like that. But they don't have to be convicted, do they? Just the accusation is good enough. And the fact that they don't take that accusation to court means that it goes unanswered. It allows that rumor and the abuse because of that rumor to be perpetuated and continue. Joanna Taylor Smith, her idea was to make Natalie, Alicia, and Maddie's lives a living hell. I didn't want that. Candace Bondurant's idea was to put a 45 between their fucking eyes. I didn't want that. Sarah Bacon's idea was to shoot them or to beat them up, anything but actually help turn it in. The same thing with Brett Roloff too, huh, though? He was gonna, but he just wasn't able to follow through because he's a meth addict. Shannon Alvarado was gonna, but she couldn't follow through because she's an alcoholic. Hell, she couldn't even keep her own fucking shit straight. That's what happens when you become a lush. Maybe she changed. Maybe she took that as a sign that maybe she should consider others when it comes to her alcoholism and how others perceive the situation when she's yelling at people and hooting and hollering and screaming and trying to get us involved in her meanness. She's a mean drunk unless she's getting laid. It's messed up. Otherwise, she's pretty nice. Oh, not necessarily having to get laid. She'll get bored with something and then she demands attention for what she wants. And she's very demanding of it, especially when she's been drinking. She has to have that attention. We've been taught that we're supposed to drop everything for a woman when she asks. We've also been taught that anytime, no matter what the excuse that a woman makes, that, well, any excuse that a woman makes is a valid excuse for not returning the favor. It's any excuse that she makes is a valid excuse, which is entirely sexist. Or a man is expected to go do the heavy lifting. A woman is expected only to give advice or to say caring and loving things. But as we all know, you can say one thing and do another. And then you pull the whole, well, do as I say and not as I do. That's hypocrisy, and that loses respect, doesn't gain any. Now that I know it won't be till tomorrow, I can go do something. Not that it'll do any good. No, sir.
Okay, what can I get for you?
I would like hot coffee, large, 15 sugars, 15 creamers.
Two, say 15?
15 of each, yes, sir.
Okay, got it, sir.
Thank you much. I'll give you the $1 at the first window.
Anything else with that, sir?
Nope, that's all.
All right, you know the business. See you at the first window.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You know, I think it probably takes maybe about 1/5 of a potato to make a hash brown. Thank you. $2.25 for a fucking hash brown. You shitting me? Yeah, no joke. If I had a place to cook my own hash browns, that's a 15-cent potato. Thank you, sir. You too, will do. That's probably not even a 15-cent potato. It's probably about, I will say 3 cents. That's about 1/5 of 15, isn't it? So 3 cents worth of 3 cents worth of potato, and probably about 8 cents worth of oil, depending on the oil you get, whether or not you get the off-brand or the high dollar one, whether you get it on sale or not. I got a cheap Kroger brand oil for $1, and I could probably cook easily 100 to 200 hash browns with what's in that bottle. So I guess if we want to say it cost me about 5 cents, but then we got to consider fuel. I have a container to cook in already. I have fuel already. It's a matter of having a place to do it, or I'm not going to get in trouble for doing it. And yes, I am literally just driving around in circles. The reason for that is because I left my lights on, and I got to make sure that there's an actual charge on my battery as well as an actual charge on my phone, which dropped low enough that it made the screen dim out. My predators have gotten away with doing what they've done by outright lying to the courts, by outright lying to the media, and by breaking the law to prevent me from showing the truth, to prevent me from facing my accusers, by pretending that I was schizophrenic and delusional. Now, isn't it amazing that the very predators that I was trying to turn in happened to be the ones that took me to the hospital and told the hospital that I was schizophrenic and delusional? What was I doing at that time? I was trying to turn them in for laws that they had broken to help my predators get away. Because it doesn't matter what the law says, it matters what's popular. And it matters who you care about. See, any one of my friends in the last 6 years, just one of them, actually helping to turn this shit in would have been enough to get those fucking body cameras. Instead, they make me jump through 10,000 different hoops for things that if I do these things for these people, they'll help me. They're my friends, and they're only telling me what to do because they care about me. If you cared about me, you would have made the time to fucking listen and understand the impact of doing fucking nothing. But you're gonna call tomorrow on your way to work. After literally going out of your way to waste days of my time and not understanding that that's what's going on here. I have to make special reparations and do special things and waste special money that I don't fucking have. And I'm not earning any money during that time because your phone call is more important than all of that. But you have to actually make that fucking phone call. The other thing is, if you make that phone call and you talk about you the whole time, that doesn't help me. If you tell me about all of your problems, that doesn't help me. If you're telling me about all of your problems as your reason for not coming forward or your reason for not listening, keep in mind those are not my fault, but that my predators pretended like everything was my fault. When you didn't keep your word, they made that my fault. They made it out to be my fault. And all it would have taken at that point is you coming forward and saying that's not true, but you didn't even try. You're wasting my time. You're not being a friend. So with all the days that I've wasted in the last 6 years on this one person who, again, is telling me that they're gonna, and again, I gotta wait till tomorrow, and you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this every fucking day. I get treated like I'm not fucking trying by a bunch of people who aren't fucking trying. It's hard to believe your words when you never follow through. It's hard to believe that you care about somebody when in 6 years' time, you haven't tried finding out what the fucking problem is. And the few times that you have pretended to try to find out what it is, you're going out of your way to be as ineffective in communication as you can. How about stop pretending I'm fucking retarded? I'm autistic. Before I told you I was autistic, you didn't treat me like I was fucking retarded, did you? What changed? Your bias. Before you knew I was autistic, you knew I was intelligent. But then once you found out I was autistic, you talked down to me like I'm a fucking retard or a fucking 5-year-old. Complaining about getting the wrong flavor of Jell-O at the fucking cafeteria. And then you want me to let it go like it's, oh, that cafeteria lady gave you lemon Jell-O instead of orange Jell-O 6 years ago. You should be over it. It's not a fucking situation of Jell-O in a fucking cafeteria in elementary school. It's long-term fucking abuse. Big goddamn difference. It's not the wrong flavor of Jell-O once 6 years ago. It's long-term and repeated abuse. When I say it's because these people are cowards, what I mean to say, because I don't want to offend anybody or make anybody who's sensitive, who wants to call me a snowflake and then turn into a snowflake when I call him a snowflake back. Snowflake back. What I meant to call them is actually cowards. That's the right fucking word for it. Uncaring, when all of your problems are more important than even finding out about somebody else's. Obviously, they're actually reaching out to you for help. Then when you want to, years later, go, oh, well, you never do anything for me. You've ignored me for 6 fucking years. You never asked me for help with any problems that you had. You had other people that you asked for help, and they did help you. And likely how you needed. But once people find out that you're autistic, you're retarded and you don't know any better. You're retarded and you don't know up from down, left for right. You're retarded. So when somebody punches you in the face, well, you know, they must not have punched you in the face because you're retarded. You don't know what being punched in the face is. You don't know what actual abuse is. You don't know what actual pain is or actual assault is. You're retarded. You guys assign an awful lot of ignorance to retardation. Your own ignorance, not ours. And although you don't call us retards, you treat us like we're retarded. You treat us that way. I'm autistic, not retarded. I'm autistic, not schizophrenic. I'm autistic, not a druggie. Being autistic doesn't make me a rapist. It doesn't make me a child molester, no matter how much you want to call me a weirdo or a creeper for being different. Being called a creeper for asking for help, you know what that's like? You know what that's like? When you're being abused and you ask for help. That's what Maddie Boa did. She didn't bother to find out what was going on. In her mind, me getting a vehicle that fucking broke down in the middle of the road while I was fucking dehydrated and had a broken goddamn phone, that's creepy. Meanwhile, how long did I have that evidence and try to get someone to fucking look at it? How long did people give me excuses of they're busy with this and they're busy with that? Because they didn't bother to help at all. I don't get to see my friends or family for the holidays. I'm stuck out in this shit. And they'll help me eventually. And then, of course, there's the pictures of their holiday meals for Thanksgiving and for Christmas and going out with their families and friends for Halloween and the parties they went to for Halloween and the Christmas celebration that they got all fucking drunk at. And like, shit, look where I'm at. I live in a fucking parking lot. And I have to fucking beg you to pretend I fucking exist. Holy shit.